Is Superman super woke?
MAGA conservatives are coming after Superman after director James Gunn said in an interview that Superman is an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country, and that he's the story of America.
You know what it says on his cape? MS-13.
We don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and to have somebody throw their ideology onto us. I wonder if it'll be successful.
He's creating a moat of woke, enlightened opinion around him.
But DC fans are saying that Superman has always been an immigrant and that superhero comics have always been political, since he was an alien who grew up in Kansas as a refugee.
I'm an illegal immigrant, Mom.
Actor Nathan Fillion, who plays the Green Lantern, said this to Variety in an interview after the backlash.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys.
But that's why people are asking.
I watched the new preview for Superman that was put out by James Gunn. The gold standard for Superman movies remains the original Superman because it gets right the idea that there's a solemnity to Superman, that he is supposed to be the embodiment of America. And then the second half of the movie shifts into a more comic book humorous mode. Man of Steel, they basically desaturate the entire film. So the entire color palette is grayscale and kind of ugly and dark, and the entire character of Superman is much darker. Let me just say that it's not that hard to get Superman right. He's supposed to be the embodiment of everything cool and heroic about America, and of course, he's supposed to be charming as well. That's the whole shtick. So you don't need full-scale James Gunn. He's the same character as essentially Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy, and all the jokes are the same as a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It's silly and stupid and bad. Do not like. 2 thumbs down. Very disappointed. Ugh. Angry.
James Gunn's Superman has finally hit theaters, but instead of flying high, this thing is barely off the ground. With a jaw-dropping $300 million budget and a promo campaign that could outshine anything Marvel's done recently, this was supposed to be DC's massive comeback. But the numbers? Straight up shaky, and insiders are already sounding the alarm. This isn't just another weak opening, it's looking like a full-on cinematic emergency. All the hype, all the posters, the trailers, the interviews, it was all building up to this so-called rebirth of DC's most legendary hero. But now that it's here, it feels more like an overpriced wake-up call than a celebration. Let's be real, this movie was supposed to change the game. A cultural reset. A bold, loud declaration that DC was back and better than ever.
It's a good time, but unfortunately, it's more of a new DC Universe introduction than a standalone Superman film.
People were expecting a film that would inject new life into the entire franchise. Instead, we've got a flick that's crawling out the gate while Warner Brothers is already in damage control mode, before the opening weekend numbers even dropped. And that's where things start getting sketchy. Think about it. How much faith do you really have in your film when the studio's out here telling reporters they'd be happy with $500 million? What? You're gonna settle for $500 million when you spent over $300 million just getting it to screens? For Superman? This isn't just some side project. We're talking about the face of DC, the launchpad for the entire new universe. This ain't just a stumble, it's looking like a major misfire. So let me get this straight. You're already shifting the goalposts before the game even starts? Let's tear this apart. Officially, they're claiming the production budget was $225 million. Yeah, right. Anyone who can count past 10 knows that's a joke. With all the delays, reshoots, fancy CGI, and a non-stop marketing blitz that practically kicked down our doors for months, this thing easily soared past $425 million. Some insiders are even whispering it's flirting with the $500 million mark.
If James Gunn's Superman flops, DC is done, bro. It's game over. Think about it, bro. James Gunn, he purposely restarted the entire DCEU, which makes sense because it was all over the place. There was no organization. There was no plan. But think about it. James Gunn, he has a lot of pressure on his hands, bro. This man recasted an entire universe, and this is the beginning of a new one, right? If this movie flops, James Gunn, DC, you're done. It's game over. There's no coming back. I'm sorry. You're done.
And now for the gut punch, the opening weekend numbers. Superman pulled in just $217 million worldwide. That's the big debut. That's the number Warner Brothers has to stare at with their morning coffee and probably a whole bottle of aspirin. After everything they poured into this movie, after all that buildup, red carpets, press tours, and James Gunn's promises, this was the result? That number's not just underwhelming, it's straight up embarrassing for a movie of this scale. We're not talking about some experimental indie flick here. We're talking Superman, the OG superhero, the one that set the standard, the icon with a cape who's been saving the world since black and white TV. And this film couldn't even beat Ant-Man 3? Come on! Think about that for a second. This isn't a weird spin-off about a talking animal or a risky new franchise. This is Superman, the one every kid knows, the symbol of heroism itself. You open with him, you go all in, and this is what you get. No wonder folks in the studio are sweating. James Gunn's big Superman reboot didn't just miss expectations, it couldn't even beat Quantumania. That's not just a letdown, that's straight up embarrassing. And right on cue, the PR machine kicked into overdrive. "It's the best Superman debut ever!" they shouted. "It's even ahead of Man of Steel!" Yeah, no, that's not just wrong, it's provably false, and anyone buying that clearly didn't do their homework. Let's rewind the tape.
James Gunn's Superman might be in trouble, and I'm not the one saying it. Early test screenings for the new Superman movie have sparked mixed reactions. Some say the feedback is positive, but others they're raising serious concerns about the film's direction and overall quality. One thing viewers seem to agree on, there's a lot of humor in this movie. Some of it works, but in many scenes, it just doesn't fit the tone. Fans who've seen it are calling it average, not amazing, not terrible, just in the middle. And that's not what you expect from a Superman reboot, right? So what do you think? Is James Gunn's Superman going to soar or flop? Let us know in the comments.
Back in 2013, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel launched with a $128 million domestic opening. That's right, $128 million. And remember, that was before Hollywood started counting early Thursday matinee previews as part of the weekend. Back then, opening weekend meant Friday through Sunday, period. Now, theaters are raking in numbers starting Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. and padding the totals like it's nothing. So when folks try to convince you this new Superman is outpacing Man of Steel, they're either confused, bluffing, or hoping you're too distracted to notice the details. The real number? Gunn's Superman pulled in $122 million domestically during its debut weekend. That's $6 million less, and that's before adjusting for inflation. Once you factor that in, this reboot gets completely stomped. But wait, it actually gets worse when you check the global numbers. Internationally, Gunn's Superman scraped together just $95 million. And this wasn't some quiet, slow drip rollout either. We're talking about a full-on, high-voltage global release. France, the UK, Germany, Brazil, Japan, China, it was everywhere. No excuses, no delays. Just underperformance across the board. Now compare that to Man of Steel, which only dropped in 24 international markets during its opening and still pulled in $71 million. That's wild. With fewer markets and less marketing muscle, Snyder's Superman nearly matched Gunn's worldwide numbers, and that's a decade ago. So what's the excuse now? This wasn't just a stumble, it's starting to look like a flat-out flop. And let's not forget, Man of Steel didn't even have China during its opening weekend. That release came later. So when you stack the numbers side by side, it's crystal clear. Snyder's version had a staggered rollout and still pulled in better early numbers overseas. Meanwhile, Gunn's Superman had the red carpet rolled out everywhere, and audiences straight up ghosted it. Now, let's get into the excuse train. Because it's coming in hot and it's looking messy. Now folks are saying, well, maybe it'll have legs. Oh really? Maybe. Just like maybe Warner Brothers will suddenly figure out how to run a superhero franchise without tripping over itself. Or maybe that good old superhero fatigue will just magically disappear overnight. Maybe this flick will randomly double its box office haul next month because, surprise, the world just hasn't noticed it yet. Come on now, let's be real. This ain't 2012. That golden age of comic book blockbusters is long gone. We're living in 2025 and audiences are burnt out. How many times can you reboot the same hero, rehash the same origin, throw up the same shiny CGI fights, and expect people to show up? These cinematic universes are collapsing faster than they can launch them. We're in the post-MCU crash era now. Audience loyalty? Gone. Patience? Out the window. Studios don't get months to build momentum anymore. These days, you get one weekend, one shot to make your mark. If your movie doesn't come in swinging hard from day one, it's game over. And that's the harsh truth Warner Brothers is staring down right now. Yeah, technically a film can have legs, but in this climate, you'd better be a miracle in a cape. So far, this Superman ain't flying. It's free falling. Look at The Batman. That movie dropped with a $250 million global debut. And that was during the pandemic recovery era. No flashy multiverse gimmicks, no wild CGI explosions every 5 minutes. Just a gritty detective vibe, some stylish marketing, and a name everyone knew. It didn't need a circus to pull numbers, it earned respect, built momentum, and had legs because audiences actually vibed with it. Now look at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That one opened similarly to Gunn's Superman in the US, but overseas, it went nuclear. Why? Because folks liked the first two. It had goodwill, it had a fan base, and James Gunn didn't hit fans over the head with sarcasm, gotcha writing, or turning Twitter rants into plot lines. He gave people something they actually wanted to come back to, and they did. They watched it again, they talked about it, it caught fire. So let's ask the real question. Do you seriously think this new Superman flick has that same spark? That same pull? That same kind of, yo, you have to see this energy? Be honest. Because from where I'm standing, the answer is a loud nope. Not even close. Even Shazam 2, yeah, the same one that crashed so hard it practically buried part of the DC brand, still had a better international opening than this Superman reboot. And let's be real, Shazam 2 was a straight-up flop. But somehow, even that drew more interest overseas than the most iconic superhero in the entire world. That's wild. You catching the pattern here? Because this ain't just about one movie bombing, it's a string of misses. Warner Brothers keeps throwing money at the screen hoping for a hit, and they're coming up empty. They bet big on this one, poured in the cash, the time, the brand power. James Gunn was hyped up as the savior, the one who'd flip the whole game, the miracle worker. James Gunn was handed the crown, hailed as the new Kevin Feige, the visionary who'd revive DC and build a fresh universe from scratch. They gave him everything, full control, total creative freedom, the keys to the kingdom. And this is what we got. A soft, shaky, lukewarm debut with zero buzz overseas? This isn't just disappointing, it's a screaming red flag dressed up in a polished press release. Let's not lose the plot here. This wasn't meant to be just another superhero flick. No way. This was supposed to lead the charge. The first domino. The big reset button for the DC brand. The film that would set the tone, win back the fans, charm casual viewers, and reignite real love for Superman after years of being left in the shadows. But instead of lifting the franchise, it's splitting the room. Half the internet is dragging it, the other half's pretending it's a masterpiece, and the rest? Quietly walking away like nothing happened. And Warner Brothers? Oh, they're scrambling hard, already trying to rewrite the definition of success. Suddenly, $500 million is being sold as a victory. Suddenly, breaking even is a flex. Suddenly, opening higher than Blue Beetle is something to brag about. Really, let's cut the noise. $500 million is not a win. Not when you dropped over $400 million between production and promo. Not when theaters pocket close to 50% of the box office. Not when you've promised investors a whole multi-movie, interconnected DCU that hinges on this exact launch. This ain't profit. It ain't momentum, it's not even stability. This is corporate damage control, plain and simple. And the reception? Don't let the sugar coating fool you. It's mixed at best. Some diehard fans are defending it, a few critics are being generous, but plenty of folks are calling it what it really is: mid, bland, tonally all over the place, rushed, hollow, the kind of flick you forget you watched before the week's even over. This was supposed to be a foundation, but it's already cracking. Even the folks defending this movie can't go all in. You're hearing phrases like promising start, not bad, and a step in the right direction. But let's be real. That's code for meh. Nobody is calling this a cultural reset. Nobody's screaming that it's a classic. And not a single soul is out here claiming this is the best Superman we've ever had. Not even close. And honestly, that's just sad. Superman deserves better. He's supposed to be the superhero, the top dog. This was meant to be his huge comeback, his return to the spotlight, a moment that would put him back on top of the pop culture food chain. Instead, he's out here losing to Ant-Man at the box office. Yeah, Ant-Man. Just let that settle for a second. So now what? You already know what's coming next. The studio's gonna run the same tired playbook. First, the puff pieces. Watch out for articles from Variety, Collider, Deadline, all talking about strong legs, audience buzz, and bold new direction. Then the social media push. Hashtags galore, influencer posts hyping Gunn's vision, and emotional TikToks calling this the most human Superman ever. They'll probably even bump the Rotten Tomatoes audience score when nobody's looking. But guess what? None of that smoke and mirrors changes the math. You can throw all the PR spin in the world at this project, but the numbers don't lie. This movie didn't launch like it needed to. It didn't break through. This wasn't some heroic return. It was a soft launch dressed up like a win. Unless something magical happens, like a sudden surge that mimics Guardians 3, and let's be honest, that's a long shot, this film is heading straight for the overhyped and under-delivered Hall of Fame. Not the worst reviewed, not the most trashed, but definitely one of the most overpriced hype machines in recent comic book history. Superman deserved a comeback. This wasn't it. And now, the million-dollar question, what does this mean for the future of the DC universe? If this was supposed to be the big launch pad, the cornerstone, the one to carry the whole next chapter, then they're starting on shaky ground. Fans were promised a bold new vision, a clean slate, a fresh direction under James Gunn. But if this is the tone setter, that vision's already looking dim and unsteady. The pressure's no joke now. Every project lined up after this, The Authority, Supergirl, Batman, The Brave, and The Bold, they're all riding the fumes of this soft launch. The vibe is off. There's no buzz, no massive demand, no viral moments that got the world talking. Instead, it's cautious interest at best and complete indifference at worst. And Warner Brothers, they're in a corner now. Investors are watching. Merch sales aren't spiking. Kids ain't begging their parents for Superman costumes. The general public isn't talking about this film like it's a movement. It came, it dropped, and it's fading fast. If this is the kickoff to your cinematic universe, you'd better pray the next entries come with serious heat, because right now the momentum's cold. Gunn's got talent, no doubt, but vision ain't enough. You need connection. You need to make people feel something. This movie didn't spark excitement. It sparked debate, confusion, and a whole lot of meh. And in today's game, where every studio's fighting for attention, a meh is a death sentence. So what now? Either they learn fast, pivot hard, and actually listen to the audience, or they're about to watch another billion-dollar franchise dream spiral down the drain. Fans wanted to believe. They were rooting for a win, but right now, all DC's showing is that they still don't know how to play the long game, and worse, they might not even know their audience anymore. And let's not forget, this ain't Gunn's first rodeo. This is the same guy who turned a talking raccoon and a tree into household names. The man knows how to create magic when the formula's right. So the fact that his take on Superman, the most iconic hero ever, landed with such a weak punch, that speaks volumes. Maybe it's not just about the director. Maybe the whole DC machine is still broken. 'Cause here's the real issue, there's no clear identity. Marvel had a roadmap. Love it or hate it, they had a plan, a vibe, a universe that, at least for a while, made sense. DC? It's all over the place. One second it's dark and gritty, next it's goofy and meta, now it's trying to be wholesome and inspiring with Superman, but it ends up being none of the above. Just a strange mix that doesn't stick. And fans notice, they're not dumb. They've seen the studio panic and pivot a dozen times already. One minute they're hyping up the Snyderverse, the next they're scrubbing it off the map. Then they're chasing Marvel's tone, then running away from it. Now they're banking on Gunn to be the savior, but giving him a broken foundation to build on. People are tired of getting whiplash. They just want consistency. A world they can invest in. Characters they can grow with. Instead, they're being served reboots, recasts, rewrites, over and over again. How can anyone care when the whole thing feels disposable? So yeah, Gunn might be talented, but without a locked-in vision, without a solid identity, and without the studio finally committing to something, this whole new DC era might burn out before it ever really begins. And if Superman, the most bulletproof hero in history, can't survive the chaos, what chance does anyone else in this universe really have? And here's the cold truth. Warner Brothers is locked in deep. They've already pushed all their chips onto the Gunverse table. This ain't a test run. Scripts are in motion. Actors are being cast. Shows are already in early production. They've built the whole next chapter of DC around this vision. So if Superman, the crown jewel, the big dog, the face of the entire genre, can't knock it out the park on opening weekend, then what exactly do they think is gonna happen when they drop Booster Gold, The Authority, or Swamp Thing? Seriously, if the world didn't show up for Superman, you really think they're lining up for side characters most folks have never even heard of? Come on now! We've seen this movie before, literally. This is exactly how the last DCU collapse started. A few shaky box office weekends, studios brushing off concerns, pretending everything's fine, while the whole thing quietly unravels. And next thing you know, boom, Reboot City. Again and again and again. That's the real fear, not just for Superman fans, but for the ones who actually care about these characters and the stories behind them. People who grew up loving this universe, hoping for something real. Because the danger isn't just this movie flopping, it's that Superman sinks the whole next generation of DC films right along with him. And let's be honest, if your most legendary character can't carry the torch, what hope does the rest of the squad have? This isn't just a box office stumble, it might be the first crack in the foundation of the entire franchise. But hey, what do you think? Are we witnessing the rebirth of DC or the start of another collapse? So what's the verdict? You buying the hype? Or are you seeing through the PR fog and watching this Superman crash land into box office irrelevance? Is this a new beginning? Or just another overhyped studio swing that missed big time? If you're feeling the breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a single drop of truth from us. We keep it raw, real, and receipts only. No Hollywood sugarcoating over here. And trust, while the studios keep spinning, we keep watching. Because right now, those receipts are looking rough. Superman ain't leaping over anything. He might be free-falling faster than a speeding bullet. Thanks for watching, and if you want even more jaw-dropping celebrity drama and blockbuster chaos, go check out the next video popping up on your screen. It's loaded with the wildest Hollywood scandals you need to see. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.